we had to reprioritize the budget. We only managed to reprioritize 500 million for SMME debt relief. In that amount, we came back to you and we said we had over 35,000 applications, but of the 35,000 applications, only 14,000, just over 14,000 applications were fully completed. But of the 14,000 that were fully completed, we could only approve applications for 1,497 SMMEs, and that to the value of 513 million rand, which is exceeding what we had reprioritized by 13 million rand. And we also gave the progress report that indicated that we are dispersing in tranches, and to date we have dispersed 62% of that amount to the value of 368 million rand. And why is that? Is because by the time, because you were giving, so you were not giving, if we approved you for 350,000 rand or for 250,000 rand, we're not giving you that full amount in upfront. We're giving it in monthly tranches for 3 months. And because the lockdown then started to move to level 4 and level 3 and more businesses. Remember, we led as a department a very effective fight to get small businesses to be allowed to operate even at level 4. When they started to operate, small businesses could not come back for the additional tranches. They said to the department and FEDA and FIFA, we don't need that type of support. We need a different support. That's why we're supporting them now with manufacturing. We're supporting them with access to market and other initiatives. And you remember, last year again, and that's why even when political parties make claims, we must be cautious of what they claim and we must start to do fact check. Last year we indicated that of the 14,000 applications that we had, which we could only assist 10% of that, it needed an amount of 3.6 billion rand, which we did not have as a department. That's what I'm saying. If we had 1.4 billion rand, it would have gone a long way. We then negotiated with the Department of Employment and Labour and UIF, because majority of SMMEs, and I was held over the court for this, are not registered. We're not registered for UIF, therefore they didn't qualify for TEF. But we negotiated to say with the UIF and the Department of Employment and Labour, allow SMMEs to register for UIF and make a commitment, what they call acknowledgement of debt, to pay when the businesses start to recover, and then they could apply for TES. And you recall that was done because we're saying SMMEs must be assisted, and the department and its agencies just do not have enough resources on its own. And by the way, of the 1,497 we assisted, we managed to save over 26,000 jobs.
Yeah, Minister, you say that 62% of the amount that you have or that's been allocated to you for you to help businesses that are experiencing financial distress at this time, you say that 62% of that money has now been disbursed. But I want to counter that with this particular report, that the Auditor General's second report on the financial management of government's COVID-19 initiatives revealed that 92% of the financial support earmarked for small businesses has not been paid out. Are you saying that the Auditor General has her calculations wrong?
But you're talking about the Auditor General, talking about small businesses support in general, not specific to the Department of Small Business Development. If you read on the column that they talk about, as they said, there's been a market improvement even on because the first report they were worried about the Spaza shop support scheme, which is different from the SMME debt relief scheme. The SMME debt relief scheme, they had never had issues. They were worried about the uptake on the Spaza shop support scheme, which they commended us for partnering with the banks to increase access to the scheme and also the initiatives we had undertaken on that.
Yeah. So talk to us about the Spaza shop debt scheme. Who's helping them?
No, Spaza shop is not a debt scheme. So Spaza shop, what we have acknowledged is that the Spaza shop economy is a major or a significant contributor in the economy in townships and rural areas in particular. And majority of South Africans are not running the Spaza shops because they don't have money for stock, they don't have assistance with other things. So we took a position that says, one, we need to assist our Spaza shops to be able to stock and restock their businesses. That's why we gave an initial grant, and we then have a revolving credit on that scheme. And we've partnered with the banks, we've partnered with Nedbank, we've partnered with Standard Bank on that scheme to make sure that they can go to the banks and have that. But part of the partnership with the banks, we have challenged the banks to say, our Spaza shops have been running, some of us were raised by money from sponsorships. But these people continue not to have access to credit. But can we help them over a period of 12 to 36 months to build a credit profile that will require them, that will enable them to have access to the banking system and the credit from the banks? And the two banks have agreed and partnered with us on that. And we are giving, not only the first round, we're giving the stock, the grant for stock, and also for more restocking. We're giving training to run their businesses in a manner that is not hand to mouth, but run them as businesses that they should be able to account.
Yeah.
We are helping them to kind of formalize their businesses, because we need to get them to run their businesses as professionals. The next round,
let me quickly get in there then, Minister, before I lose the train of thought on these Spaza shops. So you're saying that there are two banks that have agreed to assist in as far as Spaza shops are concerned, and you're talking about the initial grant that has been given. So how much has been disbursed thus far towards the Spaza shops, and which banks do they need to look to?
The banks is Standard Bank and Nedbank. So the grant disbursement of the Spaza shop, I don't want to give you the figure now, but we've got a full uptake in provinces like KZN. We've got a full uptake of provinces like the Western Cape now. We've got full uptake for provinces like Eastern Cape. We've got full uptake for provinces like Limpopo. We've got significant uptake in Northwest and Northern Cape. And the issue what we have is that you give a grant on condition that they must come and restock with the revolving credit, because we want to rebuild their credit profile with that.
So what do they do? So the ones that are in distress right now, what do they do? Do they go and approach Standard Bank, and do they approach ABSA? What documentation do they need to have?
The Spaza shops. So the Spaza shop, they can approach CEDA, they can approach their local municipalities, they can approach the local Department of Economic Development, they can approach the Nedbank, and they can go to a Standard Bank branch. Nedbank, they can also approach them at their Boxer stores, because Boxer stores, some of them have got their Nedbank desks there, and they can be helped to apply. And there's an issue with the municipal permit. When some municipalities have not given Spaza shop permits, we have said they must apply as a department, because we are working with the local economic development desk of municipality. And now you are aware that we are responsible for administering the Businesses Act of the country, which guides how the licensing is done for small businesses and informal businesses. We have made an arrangement with municipalities to then give the licenses to the deserving South Africans who are running Spaza shops, or the Mausu, or whatever else we call them, in the townships and tuck shops in our rural areas. So they should not deter because they do not have a permit, but they must give us, if they don't have a permit, they must give us evidence that they were running a Spaza shop. But now, given that, people always take chances, we have teams of CEDA officials and the LED officials in municipalities who do verification that when you say Khumbudzo has a Spaza shop, is it indeed Khumbudzo running that Spaza shop? So we are visiting the Spaza shops so that we don't get duped in approving funding for Spaza shops or credit for Spaza shops where those people are not running the Spaza shops. Yeah. And we are pleading with our informal business owners, in particular Spaza shops owners. We know you have been leasing your Spaza shops to other people. We are pleading that when you have been assisted by the department, please do not lease the facilities. If you have trouble, come back to us. That's why the intervention is not once off. It's a 12 to 36 months intervention, because our plan is to grow some of these Spaza shops to become general dealers.
Yeah. Minister, as we speak now, alcohol-reliant businesses are asking for excise duty holiday. That's while the level 3 restrictions are in force. Is that something that you are willing to back? Because they literally are falling apart.
So even in the previous lockdown, where the alcohol was banned, we were engaging with the Alcohol Traders Association as been part of the team, and we have been supporting, even because remember the liquor licenses are also renewed. We're saying, can we, as government, we're engaging with our colleagues in the DTIC who are responsible for the liquor boards, who work with the MECs in the liquor boards. We are saying, can we make an exemption on the renewal fees for liquor licenses? What other measures can we alleviate this category of businesses Remember, because they are deemed sin businesses, we're not even allowed to fund them. So we're looking at what are the measures we can help them. You will recall that even last year, we were the ones that were pushing and advocating for responsible trading in alcohols when we advocated for the reopening. Unfortunately, the numbers just became too much. The health system was not coping, and government had to do what it had to do to protect the lives of our people. But we continue to engage with the sector to make sure that which is reasonable and as far as possible where they can be assisted, we can meet them halfway.
Minister, I'm going to ask you again. I would like for a very clear and concise answer here. These businesses that are reliant on alcohol, they are asking for excise duty holiday. Is that something you are willing to go out there and say, yes, give it to them because they are struggling? We have restricted the sale of alcohol.
But the sector that I'm responsible for, even in the liquor side, they don't pay excise duty. It's the bigger ones who pay excise duty. Mine pay like liquor licenses, and I'm saying on the liquor licenses, I'm working to make sure that if there are exemptions that they can be given, they must be given those exemptions.
Minister, I thank you for your time. That's the Small Business Development Minister, Khumbudzo Ntshavheni, talking to us from Limpopo.